The Just Baseball show for Thursday, August 22nd. We got to talk about a notable once prospect, then promising young bat that was optioned to AAA Memphis, along with everybody else who's hanging out in AAA Memphis. Also, Francisco Lindor just did something that nobody has done before, the shortstop position. Verlander looked good in his return. I saw a fun Tigers nugget. And then Peter went around and grabbed a dozen Fangraphs projections, and we're going to validate or invalidate those. It's all brought to you by
BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Remember, folks, download BetMGM, whether it be on iOS or Android, and use promo code JustBaseball. Why? You get a first bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. So you're going to download BetMGM, use code JustBaseball. Then if you place a wager, if you lose, you'll get that amount back up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Or if you win, congratulations, you won a bet. On yesterday's podcast, I gave the same BetMGM ad read, and I said, I don't want to toot my own horn. I've won 2 in a row, but I am on the Phillies over the Braves. The Phillies were embarrassing. The Braves won. That streak is over. Could have used that back in bonus. But remember, gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older. Terms and conditions apply. Jack, that's why I don't toot my own horns too early.
Happy week 0 in college football. I'm sure some people will be interested in that as we get hyped up for Florida State, Georgia Tech. Did you see by chance what I quote tweeted like in 30 minutes before we hopped on?
I think I was the first like. I saw the question marks. Chick-fil-A. They're getting into the entertainment business.
We talk about all the RSN debacles in Major League Baseball, right? Who's going to own the rights to these RSN? Who's gonna go, the local telecast route? Who's taking on these local broadcasts? A new bombshell has entered the villa, and it's Chick-fil-A. They're venturing into reality television and game shows. I read a couple of articles after I quote tweeted that. I was like, I'm not just leaving it at the headline. I want to dive into this. Apparently, they want like a game show, and The Wall, I think, is a game show on NBC. They hired the same executive producer to like kind of mock up a game show for them on the Chick-fil-A streaming service. I just don't think I'm paying $5 a month for Chick-fil-A Plus.
I might. You never know. And as a fan of Polynesian sauce, like I'm pro Chick-fil-A, and I'm also curious too because BetMGM might be a little bit nervous because when a company like that starts dipping into entertainment, next step is becoming a sports book, the Chick-fil-A sports book. Imagine laying -3.5 on some chicken tenders. I don't know. That was a stupid joke,
But
we know where I'm going with this.
You probably can't bet on the NFL though, because Sundays, right?
Oh God.
Right?
Yeah, they might ban betting on Sundays, which would actually be great for me anyway.
So yeah, that was like the head scratcher of all head scratchers. But we can get to the Nolan Gorman thing now because Nolan Gorman was optioned to AAA Memphis on Wednesday afternoon. This guy is running a 37.6% K rate. Nolan Gorman on the year. Gorman in 107 games has a 671 OPS, but he's hitting 203, and in 107 games, he's punched out 151 times. It's as frustrating a watch as there is in Major League Baseball. Now, has he run into 19 this year? Did he run into 27 last year? Yes. The Cardinals are looking for some sort of shakeup. It has been a very, very rough stretch for the St. Louis Cardinals, and they're slipping and sliding, yet they're still in, I guess, wild card contention here. That's like the only bad thing about the parity this year is you've got a lot of teams that are riding the struggle bus and their fan base is starting to really lose hope, yet they're still in the conversation. I feel like it should be coming from a place of optimism if you're in the wild card hunt. Unfortunately, there's a lot of fan bases that are coming from a place of pessimism with their team in the wild card hunt.
As they should. I mean, I was incredibly pessimistic yesterday. When Jordan Walker got sent down, I started the podcast with a mini rant. And then Arm chimed in. Both thought it was stupid, for lack of a better word, to send down Jordan Walker. And then the next day, they send down Nolan Gorman, but this one is a little bit more palatable. This comes to us from BK Sports Talk. Brandon Kiley, he tweeted, There have been 19,605 individual player seasons with at least 400 plate appearances since 1871, according to Fangraphs. Nolan Gorman's current 37.6% strikeout rate ranks 19,602 among them. He is having a historic swing and miss type season. Historic. 1871, Jack?
It's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago.
I don't think Chick-fil-A was considering streaming in 1871.
We should do that for the rest of the podcast. Whenever there's like a little insertion there, just throw in back Chick-fil-A.
It's so hard to watch guys like that. And I will say that, you know, like Kyle Schwarber got optioned after he had a hell of a season in Chicago. I'm not remembering, you know, what the exact year was for Schwarber, but it was a pretty similar build to Nolan Gorman, where you were going to pallet the punch outs. You know, you could pallet 34%. And I'll pull up Schwarber here, like just for decent context, but Gorman is probably not ever going to be the hitter that Kyle Schwarber is, because Schwarber has leaned into it and he has become a mammoth human being. Like, that dude is strong now. And it's made him hit, 45, 50 homers in a given season. He had 46 and 22, 47 last year. He's got 28 so far this year. But the fact that Gorman, in 402 plate appearances, has more punch outs than Kyle Schwarber, who has 130 more plate appearances than him, is borderline unbelievable. Kyle Schwarber is running a 28% K rate. He Ks a lot. His career K rate is 28.5%. The year that he got optioned, I think, was 2017, 129 games, hit 211. At the end of the day, this guy had 30 homers and a 782 OPS. And in that year, in 2017, when Kyle Schwarber got optioned, he had a 30.9% K rate. I know the game has changed, but we're talking about Schwarber's worst year being right at 30%. And Gorman, in 89 games in 22, running a 32.9% K rate. In 2023, in 119 games, running a 32% K rate. And in 2024, in 107 games, running a 37.5% K rate. This is unsustainable. And
yeah,
I was gonna kind of tie it back to the Walker point that you brought up, because, you know, Arm and I talked about the Jordan Walker thing last week, and we both didn't really understand why he was coming back up. You know, we saw it as a short end of the platoon thing. Now, I think expressing distaste for him coming back up and expressing distaste for him going back down can coexist. I think that, you know, we both deemed it as he's not fixed, he's hot. And now that he's going back down, it's like, then why did you waste our time with these 12 plate appearances? It was a waste of time with Jordan Walker. With Nolan Gorman, it feels like a culmination of brutal this year.
And just to go back to comparing to Kyle Schwarber, you hope Nolan Gorman can become Kyle Schwarber, but
he can become 75% of Kyle Schwarber.
And I think the only real reason that we're even comparing them is that they are both lefties. They're both power-driven lefties, and they both strike out a lot. Well, Kyle Schwarber does strike out a ton. He's regularly the league leader in strikeouts, even though Elly De La Cruz is actually the league leader in strikeouts right now. But here's the thing about Schwarber. You can lock in 40 jacks. You went through the numbers yourself. 46, 47. You can almost lock in 45. He's at 28 this year. Hopefully he's going to get to 40, but he's probably going to be around that level. But the thing that you didn't mention, and I know because you were just comparing them, but Schwarber has double the walk rate that Gorman does. Mm-hmm. Schwarber is walking at a 16.6% rate. Gorman's at 8.5. And in terms of hard hit rate, so how loud is the ball coming off your bat? Nolan Gorman's supposed to be this power-driven guy, right? Well, he has a 38.6% hard hit rate. That is actually in the 40th percentile of Major League Baseball. Schwarber's at 54.3%. Yeah. So Schwarber's inefficiency is striking out a ton. That's what Gorman shares with Schwarber. But Gorman doesn't really share the good parts of Kyle Schwarber. So that's why I can fully understand sending Gorman down at this point. He is supposed to be against right-handed bats. You cannot strike out 4 out of every 10 times if your other 6 ABs are not powerful to all ends. To even compensate for a 37% strikeout rate, Gorman should be at 50 home runs right now to be a valuable player. And he's not. And so while I ripped the Cardinals yesterday for the Jordan Walker situation, I can't rip them here. Now, can you blame the Cardinals for maybe not developing Nolan Gorman enough? That's for another conversation. We'd have to go a lot deeper. And I don't know if that's fair. I don't know if we have enough data to even do that.
It's fair. It's
Maybe.
a macro offseason thing because they've had a lot of guys that they have failed to develop and see achieve final form. Like, you can point to all these names that they once had, and Adolis Garcia is kind of an outlier because he didn't look like Adolis does now. He didn't look like El Bombi when he was in.
Randy Rosarena, same thing.
Rosarena, but like also Dylan Carlson in recent memory. It took a long time for Alec Burleson to even sort of kind of figure it out here. We're on year 3 in the big leagues. There are a lot of guys, and hey, Jordan Walker too. There are plenty of examples, and I know that I'm missing some here. But yeah, that is, I think, an offseason and macro question. It's, hey, are the Cardinals, not as good at this player development thing as we were expecting, or maybe assumed when we were growing up because they were so good? Maybe that is absolutely a possibility. But I'm with you, man. This is like an indictment on the Cardinals, but also just a culmination of bad for Nolan Gorman.
It was interesting too, because sometimes when, you or I or Aram, we might rip a team, you'll get fans in our YouTube comments coming in on the other side. Not always just angry at us, just giving another perspective, which I totally respect. I gave that Cardinals rant. Go look at the comments in that last YouTube video.
There's legit pessimism in that fan base, man.
All of them are aligned. They have no idea what John Mozeliak in the front office is doing.
Yeah.
And if you are a Cardinals fan who sees the plan, feel free to let us know, because the Cardinals are the team that confuses me all the time. And I try and talk to as many people as possible. I have Katie Wu tweets notified whenever she drops them. I read articles. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't understand it. So if someone could explain it to me in the YouTube comments, how the Cardinals are trying to develop their young players, what's the holdup here, please let us know.
Yep. Francisco Lindor just did something that no shortstop has ever done in Major League history. On Wednesday, in the 3rd inning, he hit his 25th home run of the season. Solo shot at home against Baltimore. By the way, Jesse Winker's walk-off was electric.
Pure electricity.
That was nasty.
That was just a few days removed from Francisco Alvarez showing pure electricity too.
36 hours removed.
I know. Mets baseball is sick right now. It's all these day games at Citi Field against the Orioles too.
God. Yeah. Why not?
Fun.
Jose Iglesias, baby. It's that magic. It's pop star Iglesias magic. No, Francisco Lindor already has stolen 25 plus bases. He hit his 25th home run. Sarah Langs put this out. Francisco Lindor is the first shortstop primary in Major League Baseball history with 3 separate 25-25 seasons. So 25 home runs and 25 stolen bases. My initial reaction to that was, wow, he's the only one? How is he the only one?
Crazy.
My second reaction was,
Bobby Witt's going to do it in 2 years.
Bobby Witt's going to do it literally next year, I think. We're like, he does that in 3 of his first 4 seasons, and we're like, wow, okay, so this is a new game. Third reaction was, this is just a new game where we prioritize home runs and stolen bases. Like, this is going to start to happen a little bit more. But the fourth reaction that I kind of wanted to end on a positive note was, we got to appreciate this guy. And he's got to be an all-star, and he has to be loved in the city of New York. Like, this guy is, I think, the most underappreciated player in Major League Baseball. Because
underappreciated superstar, I would say.
Underappreciated superstar in Major League Baseball. You're right, because there are underrated, underappreciated guys where it's like, who is that? You don't know, but he's awesome.
Exactly. Like Jake Cousins of the Yankees, their reliever, is probably the most underappreciated star. And then we go to Francisco Lindor for superstar. I think that's
For
fair.
sure. For sure. But like, I'm thinking about a Ryan Walker, right? Like, a lot of people had no idea who Ryan Walker was until he threw the ninth inning for San Francisco when they optioned Camilo Doval, because I love Ryan Walker and I can't wait to watch him throw on the Chick-fil-A app. But dude, like,
You got to stop that, because I'm just gonna burst out giggling every single time. So you gotta pick your spots, or else the people at home are just gonna hear random laughs like throughout this entire podcast.
fair. In terms of underappreciated superstardom, this guy got off to, relatively speaking, a slow start to his New York Mets career. And I think that initially made everybody kind of sour on the $341 million contract. Nobody's worth that, but like, he's close. He's close to being worth that. And he is, aside from Bobby Witt and probably Gunnar, he's the best established shortstop in baseball at this point. He's probably, third or fourth best shortstop in baseball when we look at this going into 2025.
Yeah, if we look at just OPS totals for Lindor since becoming a New York Met, obviously 2021 was not very ideal. It put up a 734 OPS. But then in 2022, he gets to 788, 26 jacks, 16 stolen bases. Then the next year, he hits 31 bombs, steals 31 bases, rocks an 806 OPS. Then this year, he's already 25-25 with an 817 OPS. And this entire time, he is playing some of the best defense, not just at shortstop, but in all of Major League Baseball. He's basically, if you put Kevin Kiermaier at shortstop, took his acumen in center field, put him at shortstop, and then said, Kevin Kiermaier, you're going to hit 270 and go 30-30 every year. That sounds like one of the best players in baseball for the last decade, and that's exactly what Francisco Lindor has done. I think this year has established a clear tier one of shortstops. You got Bobby Witt and Gunnar, the up-and-comers. And then you got the guys who will just stick there for basically ever. Trey Turner, Corey Seager, and Francisco Lindor. Those are your five. And I feel like that's tier one.
Where's Ellie De La Cruz?
I think he's in tier two right now. He is leading the league in strikeouts. He is leading the league in strikeouts.
Yeah, but he also
has 59 stolen bases.
So many different ways.
Yeah, no, he's great, but I don't think he's quite there yet, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think first of all, he hasn't proven it for a really long time, and he doesn't hedge that with elite defense. It's good defense. It's a lot of swing and miss. I think he's the starter of tier two. Do you think he's tier one already?
I think he's so clearly the third up-and-comer. I think it's Bobby Witt, then Gunnar, and then Ellie. But the difference between Gunnar and Ellie could be its own tier. It could be that line and that cutoff between tier one and tier two. I just wanted to see like where you drew the line. Is Ellie just above the line to tier two, or is he just below the line to tier two? And I think I'm with you. I wanted you to kind of spell it out for me. I think he is just below that line at the top of tier two, but just below tier one.
Can we come together on this?
Yeah.
Tier one is those five. Tier two is just Ellie. And then tier three, we start to have conversations about everybody else. Like, he's in his own tier where it could be the best shortstop in baseball. Could also be some swing and miss where he's got months where he can't hit water if he fell off a boat.
Yeah.
But he's obviously developing and he's still so raw. He's in kind of the tier two where it's like he could be better than legitimately all of these guys if it all comes together.
Yeah.
But right now, I'd rather have those five.
I'm totally with you. I'm trying to think if there's another guy that falls into tier two. I don't think Dansby is in tier two. He can't hit like that.
Volpe, probably. Just kidding.
I was thinking, for some reason, and tell me if this is valid or not, the other name that jumped to the forefront of my mind was Willy Adames. I was like, is Adames a tier two guy? No.
Great. Not tier two.
But he's too inconsistent.
That's why, like, I can't have Willy Adames and Ellie De La Cruz in the same tier, but I also can't quite put Ellie in tier one. That's why I think tier two by himself.
Tier two by himself. Okay, I can get behind that. I've got another quick thing that I want to mention on the Tigers front, because I saw this tweet from the owner of
Wait a minute. I screwed up. Carlos Correa is in tier two with Ellie De La Cruz.
Oh, yeah, good call.
Yeah. That just came to me. I was like, wait a minute. I will not disrespect Carlos Correa. I know he's been banged up this year, but he's still the man.
Proud of you. Speaking of Tigers, wasn't Correa supposed to go to the Tigers on a $300 million deal? Instead, they settled for Javi Baez, and that actually takes me into this. Joe Obvious is the founder of Obvious Shirts in Chicago, which does a great job. They, have an awesome partnership with the Cubs. And he tweeted out the lineup for the Detroit Tigers on Wednesday afternoon at Wrigley. And he put their salaries next to him. And this kind of broke my brain. Joe said, quote, "This is the craziest shit I've ever seen. Javi is getting paid 3x more than the rest of the Tigers lineup combined." And I was like, hold on, let me do this math. And he put the numbers that they're making. Parker Meadows, and I'm going to run through this lineup just by name. And I'll tell you, this is a lineup, aside from Javi Baez, that I feel pretty comfortable with running out on opening day 25. Parker Meadows, Riley Green, Matt Vierling, Kerry Carpenter, Colt Keith, Spencer Torkelson, Jace Young, Dylan Dingler, Javi Baez. It's a pretty good lineup.
I like that lineup.
Parker Meadows is making $500,000. Riley Green, 766. Vierling, 766. Kerry Carpenter, 761. Keith, 2.8 with the pre-arb extension. Torkelson, 765. Jace Young, 740. Dylan Dingler, 740. Javi, the 9-hitter, $25 million. 1 through 8 in that batting order is making $7.8 million. Javi Baez is making 25. I couldn't, it was hard for me to wrap my brain around that. I see your gears moving in your head too.
I'm speechless. I'm a guy who can have a take about anything. I don't even know what to say to that. I got nothing. That's
3x the rest of the lineup combined.
I think I have a headache. It hurt a little bit. My brain got moving so quickly that I almost short-circuited.
I saw your eyes pacing. I saw your eyes going back and forth. I was like, oh, dude.
Because there's so much to that. First of all, there's so many hitters in the lineup who are so underpaid. I mean, Kerry Carpenter making only that much. I know, bro, they're all pre-arb, but I'm just saying in general, when you look at the landscape of the rest of the league, Riley Green only making that much. The fact that Colt Keith, among all of them, was the pre-arb extension guy, and for good reason, he's great, but it's funny because there's a lot of other pretty solid names in there. The fact that Spencer Torkelson then came up and back down, and he was my favorite hitter coming out of Arizona State. I thought he was going to hit 40 home runs, hit 280 for a decade.
Who didn't?
Parker Meadows, I bet on to win Rookie of the Year, $1 billion to 1. Obviously, never materialized, but I liked him. There's so many things there, and then on top of the Sunday, just the most rotten cherry that you could possibly put in your mouth. I mean,
it's it already had the green spots, and it's you know what? This is going to be perfect for this beautiful Sunday.
Because he's the only player in Major League Baseball that I get pissed at, unreasonably upset at. I get unreasonably upset, I think reasonably at this point, at the St. Louis Cardinals, and I get unreasonably upset at Javier Baez because of the lack of adjustments. We've said that on this podcast 70 million times, and we still sit here on Wednesday, August 21st, and he's still swinging at balls 15 feet out of the zone on sliders that were never strikes to begin with. And he's making $25 million. I almost respect him. Because you're just that bad at your job, and you still get paid, and you never make an adjustment. Fuck it. Yeah. Good for you, Javier Baez. You schemed his system. You schemed it, and you did it well. I almost respect you for it. I wish you would come out and say, yeah, why would I adjust? Look at the money in my account. And I'd be like, you're right.
I'm doing this on purpose.
You're right, dude. Good for you, I guess.
I just think it's funny that we were so excited to see pre-arb Trey Sweeney, and we're disappointed that the player making $25 million is in the lineup of the guy making $740. It's crazy.
He better be buying that team dinner every single night.
Yeah. Now that could be, the all pre-arb team. That lineup with Sweeney in there instead of Baez would be just under $8.5 million, which is very cheap, but that's kind of where the Tigers are. And, that's partially why you could maybe doubt their window opening soon because they're all pre-arb and there's really no complementary pieces. But they got $25 million tied up in this guy, and they got 25 tied up next year and 25 the year after that. This is
Was
just
was
horrible.
Javi a Scott Harris guy, or was he an Alavila guy?
No, Alavila.
I would love to have Alavila on the podcast and just ask him why. Well,
Hey,
what did he
what's
say?
up with
No,
this?
genuinely though, because he was good at the time, but I am curious, like, what made you think that this guy was worth 140 or 170
Because
or whatever he
Story
got?
was worth 140.
I want to ask Chaim Bloom. I think he was the one who signed Story. Like, what did you think there?
Was.
Because I think still at the time, I mean, if we go back and I was wrong and I actually did like those deals, I feel like I didn't,
I don't think anybody did.
Yeah, I don't remember liking those deals when they were first signed. And I don't think anybody did. Like, I don't even think Red Sox fans were like, oh, yes, this was the deal.
No, I think it was a universally disliked contract for Story and for Bias.
That doesn't happen all that often. When
No.
everyone is collectively negative on something and then it ends up being really, really negative or worse than we even could have imagined.
Right. The one that I really hated and I remember firmly hating was Taijuan Walker to the Phillies. It was just like, this wasn't going to work.
He called that the worst of the offseason.
Yeah.
So
it's that kind of thing. And sometimes that blows up in people's face. Like I remember executives called DeMar DeRozan to the Bulls the worst deal of the offseason. That was not the worst deal of the offseason.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, but I'm saying a collective fans of all 30 teams. We're all on the same page of that one. We aren't smart for also saying it was bad. Everybody said it was bad.
All on the same page and being right.
And being right.
Rarefied air.
Like the dumbest people, the smart, that curve.
Yeah.
Where you got the insanely smart person, the super dumb person, and then like the medium person. That entire curve was negative on this Javi Bias. And they all were. And they were all right. We're all right. Let's all pat ourselves on the back collectively.
Which is beautiful. I want to talk about a former Tiger before we get into these Fangraph projections. Justin Verlander just made his first start for the Astros in about 2 months. And Verlander went 5 innings, 2 runs, K'd 6, walked 1. Justin Verlander threw 76 pitches and sat down the final 10 guys that he faced. Now, he's probably going to get saddled with the loss. We're recording in the 8th inning of that game right now. Top 9, Red Sox up 3-1. So he's probably going to get saddled with the loss, 5 innings, 2 runs. But he looked so darn good in the back half of his start. And after he shook off some of that big league rust, he settled into this cruise control that I was like, there's Justin Verlander. And I don't know if we're going to see that again with Max Scherzer in his career. I know Arm's been pretty vocal about that. Like, it's tough to watch Scherzer operate.
That's one of those read between the lines of what Arm is saying, because he's very professional and all of his takes are well researched. There's tons of data behind it, but sometimes you can read through the lines. I think he thinks Max Scherzer is terrible.
It's sad to watch a guy that was that dominant and going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, be such a shell of himself. And I feel like that is unfortunately what Scherzer is right now. Kershaw, you can tell that Kershaw has ticked down. And the reality is he can still get through 6 innings of shutout ball in the big leagues because he's Clayton Kershaw.
I know. Isn't he amazing?
He's amazing.
You're right. He has ticked out. Like, his stuff does not look as good. It doesn't matter.
No, but he's going to execute and he's going to beat you.
Yeah.
But in terms of Verlander's execution and stuff, I was like, that's Verlander. That's a 40-year-old Verlander, but that's Verlander. I was very encouraged by that.
I was as well. And speaking about the velocity, it was up. His yearly average is 93.5, 94.2, up about 0.7. Curveball velocity was up. Slider velocity was up a lot. His yearly average, 86.5. This time he's at 88.3. Changeup velocity up as well. Spin was looking pretty good. He was throwing strikes. Like, that's a pitcher. And the Astros certainly need him. But the thing is, just looking straight at the game right now, Red Sox are beating him. And it's not Verlander's fault. He pitched fine. It's the Red Sox offense. Or, excuse me, the Red Sox pitching shutting down the Astros offense that is going to win them that series. So, Red Sox are still very good. And that's why I'm excited to get into the buy or sell Fangraphs projections, because we're talking Red Sox a little bit. We're talking Astros. I tried to grab projections from all different teams, all walks of life, like bad teams, good teams, some stats, just so we're able to talk about a lot of them. But, the Red Sox, they needed this win on the road in Minute Maid, winning right now. They're dangerous.
It's legit. We're going to start those projections with the LA Dodgers here in a moment. Peter going to walk us through them. Before that, though, Quick break.
All right, so I compiled 12 different buy or sell projections from Fangraphs. I'm going to walk everybody through them. I'm going to throw them over to Jack. Are you buying or are you selling? So I'm going to give Jack a take. Then I'm going to give him what Fangraphs projects them at. And I'm going to ask Jack, based on that projection, are you buying the take or not? And I have stat projections, win totals, plenty of stuff to get to. And I'm excited. I think this one is going to be pretty good. So we'll start at the top. Buy or sell, Dodgers finish with the most wins in Major League Baseball when it's all said and done. They are projected 95. Next up is the Yankees at 94. And then the Orioles and Phillies both at 93. First of all, I think it's funny that the best team in baseball this year is only projected to win 95 games, right? Jeff Passan put out that tweet. There's likely not going to be any 100-game winners. There's probably not going to be 99, 98, 96, or 97 either.
Yeah.
95 for the Dodgers. Do you think that the Dodgers right now are the best team in baseball moving forward for the rest of the season?
I'm buying it. And the way that I look at this is they upgraded with the presence alone of Tommy Edman and Max Muncy that got off rehab. Muncy already went yard. Him at third base is an upgrade over whatever the hell else they were running out at third base. And Edman, whether he's playing center or short, is an upgrade over what they were running out in center or short. I know Andy Pages was optioned when Mookie was activated. Pages, I know he's got the OPS just under 700, but he'll be back on September 1. He just had options remaining. I'm sure that he will be one of the September call-ups, Andy Pages. So this lineup is longer than it's been really at any point this year. I know that Freddie Freeman is playing through a hairline fracture in his finger. He's Freddie Freeman. He's going to perform like it. Again, they got Mookie back. Ohtani is Ohtani, and I know that we're going to talk a little bit more about him, but Edman and Muncy lengthening this lineup. So instead of like one runt of the litter, or instead of three runt of the litter, you have like one. That's massive. And by the way, Gavin Lux is starting to really swing it. He's been balling. I look at this rotation. I know Buehler struggled. He's still Buehler. Kershaw is back, and Kershaw is Kershaw. Gavin Stone is coming off the best start of his career to this point. Yeah, one of them. Complete game shutout earlier this year, but he set a career high in punch-outs with 10.
But that just furthers your point that he can flash stuff like that where he's just absolutely dominant.
Exactly. Bobby Miller is back. He looked strong in Oklahoma City. And then you've got Jack Flaherty when you didn't have him in the front half. I know Glasnow is out. That sucks. But, you could get Yamamoto back at some point soon here. And then this bullpen, man, like, don't look now, but Michael Kopech, since coming over from Chicago, has looked like one of the better bullpen arms in all of baseball. So it's legit.
And just to piggyback on what you're saying, if you do have concerns about the rotation, I get it. But they hedge it with one of baseball's most underrated bullpens. And I know that's crazy. But when you think about best bullpens in baseball, the Dodgers don't really enter that conversation because I think you just assume, well, they have so much offense. They have so much starting pitching that there's no way they also have a good bullpen. But yeah, they do. Alex Vesey has a 1.72. Anthony Bonda has a 2.31. Daniel Hudson has a 2.61. Evan Phillips has a 3.40. Michael Kopech has a 3.91. And still Joe Kelly, I know he's got a 4.68 ERA, but in a big spot, I still trust Joe Kelly. And even Ryan Brazier has been good. And that's still with Blake Trinan and Brusdar Graterol on the shelf. Like this team, if you are a little bit worried about their rotation, okay. For example, Buehler goes 4 innings, 3 earned against the Mariners. Those are the only 3 runs that the Mariners scored in that game. And the Dodgers won 6-3. Mm-hmm. That's the Los Angeles Dodgers moving forward for you. This team is getting healthy at the right time. They're all getting fresh here because remember, Kershaw's got a relatively fresh arm. Buehler's back. He's still figuring it out, but he's got a fresh arm. A lot of these guys do. So I feel really good about the Dodgers moving forward. And there's a reason that BetMGM has them as the clear favorites to not only win the World Series, but win the National League pennant. Yeah. They understand. They know that, the Dodgers choke in the playoffs sometimes. They know that. And they're still hanging their hat on clear favorites because everybody else is in the 550 to 600 range in terms of the plus odds. Dodgers are in the 300 range. You don't see that all that often unless there is a clear clear favorite, and the Dodgers are not that much of a clear favorite in terms of the win-loss record right now. So BetMGM is putting in a claim. Fangraphs putting in a claim. I think it's smart to jump on that one right now.
Yeah.
All right, number 2, buy or sell. Aaron Judge finishes the year with 60 home runs. He's at 45 right now. Fangraphs projects him to finish at 57. Jack, buy or sell. Judge goes over Fangraphs projection, or you can sell it and say he goes under, or you could just say, I think he does finish with 57.
I'm buying it. This is the best Judge has ever looked. And that includes the Maris breaker. He is OPSing, 50 points higher than that season, maybe 60, 70 points higher than that season. The fact that he has a little bit of protection at the top of this lineup is going to do wonders for him over the back half of this season, or back, month of this season. I know that, there were some guys that were performing okay in 2022 when he did it, but at the end of the day, like Juan Soto was not in this lineup, and he was hitting leadoff, man, and he was really like their only chance at offense for the majority of that 22 season, it felt like. Now, I know a lot can be made about the bottom 5 in that lineup, but top 3, top 4 is formidable enough to provide him a little bit of protection, and I could see this guy going on another, 10 homer in 2 week stretch, and we're talking about a guy that is finishing with 61, 62 homers again.
I'm going to read you some stats that I think are going to blow your mind. This comes to us from Addison, our social media extraordinaire, helping run our Twitter. It's phenomenal on Twitter. You can follow him at Yankee World. If you aren't following him already, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But let me run you through this. Aaron Judge now has a 220 WRC plus. There have been 6 seasons in Major League history that are better than that. 2002 Barry Bonds, 2001 Barry Bonds, 1920 Babe Ruth, 2004 Barry Bonds, 1923 Babe Ruth, 1957 Ted Williams. End of list.
So he's better than 01 or 03 Bonds?
He is better than 02 Bonds.
Better than 02 Bonds. Okay, so 01, 03, 04 are better than Judge at this point.
Yes. And then you have 2 seasons from Babe Ruth and 1 from Ted Williams. And then it's Aaron Judge right now by WRC plus, which is park adjusted. It's also era adjusted. It's the best hitting stat we got. And he's 7th ever. Now the season ain't over yet. Right? Maybe he could struggle a little bit, drop down to a 210 WRC plus.
But my thought on that, dude, is like, if he's doing this, he's going to have 60 homers to show for it. That's my gut
I'm
feeling.
thinking too. I agree with you. Like he's too powerful. So when he's connecting, it's just going to go. And the fact that he's hitting 330, like this is when he's not getting pure barrel on the ball or he's not lifting it enough. He's still spraying doubles, singles. Guy is such a good hitter that he's just running into these home runs. And Fangraphs projections, they're always a little conservative. Like, for example, their highest projected home run output this year from anyone projected Aaron Judge at 46. He has 45 on Wednesday, August 21st. So they're always going to be a little conservative. So the fact that they are still projecting 12 more home runs for the rest of the season for Judge to get to 57, I'm buying the take too. I think he finishes over 60. Now, do you think he breaks 62? I don't. I think he's going to be right around there.
61. Yeah.
That's so crazy.
It's cool. It's damn cool.
All right, let's move on to number 3.
Let's do it.
All right. Back to the Dodgers. But again, it's historic, so we got to talk about the Dodgers. Buy or sell. Shohei Ohtani finishes with 50 home runs and 50 steals, becomes the first player ever to go 50-50. Fangraphs projects him, at 50 home runs and 44 stolen bases. So they do have him getting that 50th home run, but they don't have him getting up to 50 stolen bases, which I thought was interesting. Do you think the Dodgers, and remember, it's not that he can't steal 13 more bases, because right now I think he's at 39 home runs, 37 stolen bases.
38 bats.
38
and 42 attempts.
38 and 42 attempts. It's not as if he can't. Will the Dodgers say you don't need to run for the rest of the year just to make sure that he's healthy? Do you think that there's going to be, I'm just thinking of ways that he couldn't, because that's the only reason. It's almost like with Paul Skeens. Are they going to shut him down or not? That's the only way you're going to stop him. It might be the same with Ohtani. Like, you don't have to run as much for the rest of the year. But the Dodgers also, they're only a few games up of the division. They need to keep winning games. And if Shohei Ohtani steals, clearly help them keep winning games. And Dave Roberts came out and he said, we're going to keep Shohei in the leadoff spot.
Yeah.
And they've kept him in the leadoff spot. Leadoff guys run. I think he gets there personally. What do you think?
So, no, I don't think so. And I don't think it's coming organizationally from the top. And you've got Andrew Friedman saying, hey, man, you got to stop stealing bases for the
I don't think
sake
so
of
either.
yourself.
I'm just inventing shit, because what's going to stop him, especially, let's say we're getting towards the end of the year, say he's at 50-44. You don't think he's going to try and steal a couple more bases to get there?
I don't know if he's like that. I don't know if that, is something that like he's really going to go after and seek. I think
if he's close, he will. I think he's a competitor.
It's tough. Yeah, competitor. I don't know if competitor and record breaker are the same thing. Like I thought Acuna was going to hunt the shit out of it. With homers, like I think Judge hunted it because the Yankees at the end of the day, man, like the Yankees weren't performing to a level where he needed to be fully locked in every single AB in 2022. What kept him locked in was the pursuit of that history. Ohtani, I don't think needs the pursuit of history to be locked in for the rest of the season. And if the situation does not dictate, taking the bag, I don't know if he's going to do it. I think situation may dictate over the next 4 or 5 weeks that Ohtani just doesn't, swipe 12 more bags. I think he can get to 50 homers, but I also doubted the bags. Like I doubted that he was going to go 40-40 because I thought he was going to, taper off the stolen base thing in June, and he hasn't. If anybody's going to do something unprecedented like that, it's going to be him. If anybody's going to do the 50-50 thing, it's going to be him. I just don't know. I doubt the stolen base elements of it.
I don't. Because he can steal them at will. You said it yourself, 38 for 42. So
you're also the president of the Shohei Ohtani is Fast Club.
I am.
Which, by the way, is now streaming on Chick-fil-A.
Agree.
Our meetings on
doing that. So I think he's going to. And I think he's very efficient. And if you say that the situation might not come up, like if he's at 46 and he's on first with no outs and Mookie's up, like, are you saying that maybe he wouldn't steal normally, but are you saying he's not going to try? I think he's going to. Because I think when we look back on Shohei's career, things that he can put on the mantle. Like I think he'd also be the first 50-40 guy. That makes sense. I don't think there's ever been a 50-40 guy.
Let me check.
But still, being the first 50-50 player ever, being that dominant as a pitcher and being that dominant as a hitter while winning also the first MVP as a DH in Major League history. I think he wants all these things. Now, he wants a World Series more. He'd prefer a division title more, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But you can't tell me if it's getting close and he knows that he's already at 50 home runs and he needs 6 steals in the next week and a half that he's not going to be running. And he's not going to hurt the team, right? He's efficient already. And let's say he gets thrown out. Okay, you got Mookie, Freddie, and Muncy, and Smith, and Teoscar, and Lux, and all coming up. That'll pick up your slack. Like, I think he's going to go for it.
And to validate your point, he has been caught more than anybody in baseball before. Like, he's led Major League Baseball in caught stealing. He was caught 10 times when he was, a younger Ohtani, when he was a 25, 26-year-old Ohtani. Now he's 30. But, like, age I don't think matters in this. I think it's Juan and the situation that are going to dictate whether he gets to 50. He would be the first 50-40 guy. Mm-hmm. 5 members of the 40-40 club are Jose Canseco, Barry Bonds, A-Rod, Alfonso Soriano, King, and Acuna. Canseco was 42-40. Bonds was 42-40. A-Rod 42-46. Soriano 46-41. Acuna 41-73. So he'd be the first 40-40 member with 50 jacks.
I think it's going to go for 50-50. All right, let's get to number 4. Along the same lines, this was interesting because I didn't really realize he was this close.
Yeah.
Buy or sell. Jose Ramirez finishes with a 40-40 season, becoming the 6th player ever to say that he can do it. Might be 7th when Shohei Ohtani does it. He's projected 40 home runs. He's got 32, and he's projected 35 stolen bases. So again, the Fangraphs projections are always going to be a little bit lower on the stolen bases. Do you think he is going to do it?
Yes.
I
I
think
do.
so too.
I'm buying the J-Ram 40-40 season because that feels like something that he's going to go after
Yeah.
without it, hurting the Cleveland Guardians. He's like, hey, I'm the guy in this lineup. And, when this Guardians offense sputters, I heard you talking about that on yesterday's show. Like, when this Guardians offense sputters, they are hard to watch. Guess what? J-Ram has single-handedly willed them to the postseason on several occasions. He doesn't need to do that this year. I think they're going to be fine getting to the postseason, but if he can put them over the top by running rampant for the final month of the season, I think he can absolutely do that.
Yeah.
He's 29 for 32.
Yeah.
He picks his spots as well as anybody. I think this guy can totally finish the season strong. You mentioned it, like these are the dog days for the Cleveland Guardians. They're going to tick back up. When the offense as a whole ticks back up, I think J-Ram takes on that new level. And I think he can absolutely do this thing.
We're both like, when I went through the buy or sell, both of us smiled really big. Like, we're fired up for this. This is sick. Like, he deserves this. And I hope he gets there.
He deserves something like this. He's been way too good to not be considered immortal in something. And 40-40, he would be immortal.
Agreed. I couldn't say it better. He deserves to have a plaque somewhere of something where, I think he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer when it's all said and done, or at least close to it. Maybe not. We'll go through the numbers. I don't know.
31 years old. Like, he's still got plenty of time.
Yeah, and he's obviously insanely talented, but this is the year. I think this is the 40-40 year for Jose Ramirez. All right, let's keep it moving. Buy or sell. The Red Sox miss the playoffs. Fangraphs has them percentage-wise to make the playoffs at 37.2%. The Royals at 72.8%. The Twins at 85.7%. Orioles and Yankees both above 98%. So Fangraphs has said, Orioles and Yankees, you guys made it. And for good reason, right? When we look at the current standings, Yankees and the Orioles are both tied atop the American League East because the Orioles just lost. So Yankees are 73 and 53. Orioles are 74 and 54. Red Sox, I don't know if the game has ended yet. Yes, it did. And it was factored. So they are 66 and 59. They are 6.5 games back of the division lead. But when we look at the Twins and the Royals, the Red Sox are 3.5 games behind them. Knowing what you know about the Red Sox, knowing what you know about the Royals and the Twins, and knowing those percentages, the way Fangraphs lays them out, do you think the Red Sox have the ability to overtake Royals or Twins?
I think so, because that Twins rotation got pretty unhealthy pretty darn quickly. And we talked about Joe Ryan, the Terrace Major issue. You're relying on a trio of Festa, Simeon Woods Richardson, and Zebby Matthews for a lot to get you through this. And I love Zebby. I'm a little worried about Zebby's game translating to the show. I watched his first inning on Monday night, and the Padres ambushed Zebby Matthews. And did it result in a 10 spot? No. But did it seem like he was on the ropes from the jump? Yeah. There is a burden to being that around the strike zone. Like, he might be too command oriented. And guys are just like, well, you're going to throw strikes, so I'm just going to swing.
No, they're just swinging, yeah, because his stuff isn't elite, but he just fills up the
His
zone.
stuff is really good.
I personally said when Arm was on, I was like, I could actually see him pitching for like 15 years in Major League Baseball, not to some elite level, but just being a guy who puts up a 4.2 ERA for 15 years and he's been around forever. That's what I see in him.
And I could see years where he has, a 3.5 ERA.
Yeah, has some good years, has some bad years, but is just solid and signs these 3-4 year deals until he retires at age 38.
And the whip is always going to be good because he's not going to put runners on without them working for it. Like, every base runner against him is going to earn their way onto first base. But I worry a little bit about a young Zebby Matthews coming in, throwing too many strikes, which sucks to say because I wish guys threw nothing but strikes all the time. But he could be throwing too many strikes and he could not miss enough. And then you've got a guy in Festa who could miss too much in a given start. And Simeon Woods Richardson, who could be, cement mixers over the plate in some starts. They've been good. They've been solid so far this year. I'm worried about that sustaining and them being that humongous of a reason for the Twins making the postseason. The Red Sox now countering, like they're relying on a Cooper Criswell and a Cutter Crawford and a Brian Bale. That's a little scary too.
With Tanner Houck regressing a little bit. Now
With
he looked
Tanner
better in
out,
his last start, but just
yeah.
his last 5 starts are not very good.
And like, hey man, if Rich Hill makes 3 starts, I don't feel great about this and the
Dick Mountain's
pursuit of
back.
postseason berth. But I don't know, man. Like I think I have a little bit more confidence in. I think I just doubt the Twins' youth in that rotation just a little bit. And I like all of them, all three of them in a vacuum. I've fallen out of love with Simeon Woods Richardson over the last year or so. Like I loved him, and then I was like, dude, like you can't be running an ERA at 7 in AAA. But yeah, I think I doubt their ability to execute every time out down the stretch.
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from. I personally think Fangraphs has it right. I think the Twins and the Royals should be prohibitive favorites in this one. It is interesting, though, that you're doubting the Twins, and the Twins are the team with the 85%, according to Fangraphs. Right? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just, Fangraphs is at 85%, 78% for the Royals, and then 37%. So you're more afraid of the team at 85 rather than the team at 37.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or at 77. I am more convinced that the Royals are going to make the postseason than the Twins.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I'm looking at is I don't think that the Red Sox are not going to make the playoffs. And it's not because the Red Sox aren't good. I just don't think that they're good enough to make up enough ground. And I think the Joe Ryan thing in the regular season is a little bit overblown. In the postseason, it's definitely going to matter when you shorten that rotation and you got your best arms against their best arms. That one, I could totally see that. But in the regular season, this offense is too good and the bullpen is too good. And with Bailey Ober standing on his head,
Yeah.
and with Pablo Lopez, who had a really, really tough, really first half of the entire season, him looking better, if they can fill in spots with Matthews or Simeon Woods Richardson or any of these guys where they go 5 innings, 3 runs, their offense is good enough to continue to win games. And you could say the same about the Red Sox. Their starting pitching isn't very good, but their offense is good enough where they're able to win games. But if I'm looking at both bullpens, I prefer the Twins. If I'm looking at both offenses, you might say it's a wash. And then if you're looking at both rotations, you might say the Red Sox is deeper, but the Twins probably have better top end talent. I don't know. They're almost like the same team, but the Twins are 3.5 games up. That's how I kind of view it, where it's like the Twins, let's say they have 30 games left. They're going to go 17-13. So are the Red Sox. That's how I view it. And that I just don't think they're good enough to overcome this 3.5 game deficit. But to your point, I see what you're saying about like moving forward. Could the Red Sox have a slightly better record than the Twins? I think it's possible.
Are they 4 games better?
I don't think so.
That's the question.
That's where I'm out.
Fair. I'm also, I will say there's some negative bias, I guess. I'm jaded by seeing Correa on the IL and Buxton on the IL and Brooks Lee on the IL. Like,
They still hit.
it sucks. It stinks to say, but I'm just waiting on Royce Lewis to go on the IL again. It's clockwork, man. It's clockwork that you find these guys on the shelf every time that the ball gets really important.
No, I see where you're coming from, but like, are they going to go on the IL in the next 6 weeks? Because like we don't have that much time left. I just think it's too much. Now, could they do it? Of course they could. But if I'm looking at this race, like my hot take, you saw the episode reacting to our hot takes. My hot take was the exact playoff picture that it is now. Everybody in this exact position is how it's going to end. Like the Guardians are going to win the Central. Yeah. Twins and the Royals and the Orioles are going to be the wild card teams. The Yankees are going to win the division. And, you know, I went through it yesterday, but that's kind of where I'm at the Red Sox. I still think that they are a very good team. I just don't think they are good enough to pick up that amount of ground when the Twins and the Royals are still very good.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to some Cy Young Award picks. So when Jack and I went through the Cy Young predictor from Fangraphs, they utilize FIP. And these projections change, of course, as guys put in better starts and improve or not improve their fielding independent pitching. So we got 2 clear leaders. Tarek Skubal in the American League, Chris Sale in the National League. I'm asking about number 2 because they have 2 new number 2s for their Cy Young predictor.
Yeah.
In the American League, buy or sell. Tarek Skubal wins the Cy Young, and Cole Ragans of the Kansas City Royals finishes second.
Selling the living shit out of that.
Interesting.
Selling. Cole Ragans is 9th in the American League in earned run average.
Mm-hmm.
Cole Ragans is what? I don't see him in double-digit wins at this point. Do you have the win total in front for Ragans? That still matters. He's 10-8. He's 10-8 with a 3.31. His teammate Seth Lugo has 14 wins at a 3.02.
Yeah.
Why would Lugo not finish ahead of Cole Ragans? In terms of innings, Lugo is around 5 more innings than anybody else in the American League. Let's not forget about the guy that is second in innings in the American League, who also, by the way, is second in ERA. Logan Gilbert is the other sub-3 ERA guy in the American League with Tarek Skubal. I think Logan Gilbert finishes second. I think Seth Lugo probably finishes third. I'm voting for Burns. Like, if I had a 4th place vote, I'm voting for Burns over Ragans at this point. And hey, man, like, Framber Valdez is putting together a hell of a candidacy at this point. I don't understand that with Ragans. I think Ragans has been great. I think Singer's been great too. But Lugo has been the best one for Kansas City. So let's acknowledge that.
I think when they're looking at fielding independent pitching moving forward, looking at the guy with the gaudy strikeout totals, not a lot of walks, and they're projecting a lot of future success for Cole Ragans for the rest of his starts, while they're a little bit more down on a guy like Cole Ragans. And I wonder if Fangraphs is factoring this in. This comes to us from Opta Stats. Seattle's Logan Gilbert has a record of 7-9 this season, despite a 0.88 WHIP. The last qualifying MLB pitcher to have a losing record in a season with a sub 0.9 WHIP was Ed Walsh in 1910 for the White Sox.
Huh. I was thinking maybe DeGrom. Didn't DeGrom win the Cy Young with a losing record?
Maybe the WHIP wasn't low enough. I'm not sure.
I'm going to check on it right now.
To have a losing record in a season with a sub 0.9 WHIP was Ed Walsh. Maybe this stat is wrong from Opta.
No, I think that's right. Yeah, DeGrom was 10-9 when he would have signed.
He was 10-9.
Yeah,
Logan Gilbert is
0.91 WHIP. So Gilbert has a better WHIP than DeGrom did when he won the Cy Young.
Kind of insane. So
Gilbert's
I agree with you. I'm selling the shit out of this. Now, do I have tickets on both of them? Yes.
On Ragans?
I do have a ticket on Ragans and I have a ticket on Skubal. So is it making me happy to bring that to you? Yes. Did it also make me happy to bet on Francisco Lindor MVP every year when he's 20th in odds and finish the 6th? Yes. Those are feel-good bets that don't actually hit.
Yeah.
I think Skubal's going to win it, and I don't think it's going to be Ragans. I still think it's going to be Framber. I think Framber found something and he's going to dominate for the rest of the year.
Second?
I think he might finish second. But I think it's going to be Gilbert. Like, I don't think it's going to be Ragans, is what I'm saying.
No.
I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say it's Framber. Who I also have a ticket
funny
on.
because, like, all 3 Kansas City starters in that big 3 qualify on the ERA leaderboards. Lugo is 4th. Singer is 7th. Ragans is 9th. We're saying the guy, I understand the punch outs are there, but at the end of the day, like, Gilbert is 5th in the American League in strikeouts.
No, you're right. Also, I think my AL Cy Young bets are kind of sick. Skubal, Framber, Ragans, and Grayson.
Yeah, but those are decent. I can appreciate those.
I think they're all going to finish top 5, 7.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to the National League. Buy or sell. Chris Sale wins the Cy Young, and Logan Webb finishes second. That's who Fangraphs has projected to finish second in the Cy Young race.
No.
No, you're selling that too?
No, I'm selling that. I'm selling.
Talk to me.
Zach Wheeler.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to Zach Wheeler? Wheeler, at this point, is 3rd in the National League in strikeouts behind Sale and Cease. He is 2nd in the National League in innings behind Webb. He is 2nd in the National League in ERA behind Sale. Zach Wheeler has thrown 154 and 2/3 innings at a 2.73. 154 to 2.73, and he's 3rd in strikeouts. Webb has thrown 170 innings at a 3.1, 3.16, and he's 9th in the National League in strikeouts. I can appreciate the innings accumulation. I think that innings accumulation totally freaking matters. But Wheeler, it's not like he's thrown 160 innings this year. Like, Wheeler can flirt with 200 innings again this year. Okay, Webb's at 220. Well, Wheeler's at 200, and he's, a third of a run better. And he's punched out more guys. I lean with it. And he's pitching more meaningful baseball.
and the run environment that they're both in. Like Logan Webb gets to pitch at Oracle while Wheeler's at the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Wheeler for sure second. I don't know where they're getting Webb, but I thought it was interesting. They've got Logan Webb finishing second.
Can I throw you another name of a guy that should get some Cy Young down ballot votes?
Emmanuel Clase.
Well, Class A in the American League.
Yes.
I would vote Class A first.
I would, dude.
I'm kidding. I would
better
vote
get votes. He better get votes. This is.
I hope he does. Just some down ballot, like, hey, somebody voted him sixth. I just want that. Like, hey, Emmanuel Clase, respect.
Peyton Guinness, so another one of our social media extraordinaires. He put in the group chat the other day about Emmanuel Clase throwing 101-mile-an-hour cutters, dicing up the Yankees, and how so sad it is that another reliever is dominating the Yankees with the patented Mariano Rivera cutter, except this time it's 10 miles an hour harder.
Right. It's just like, what?
It's like,
well, the future is now.
Baseball players have leveled up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of bit.
Can you imagine what Babe Ruth would do if he saw Emmanuel Clase on the mound just burning 101 cutters in on his hands?
Poop his pants.
Poop his pants.
Those pinstripes would turn brown. They would look like the Padres' alternate uniforms.
Oh, God. Someone just turned off the podcast.
Down ballot votes, mid ballot votes. Michael King should get some mid ballot votes.
We talked about that in terms of hot takes. Someone said Michael King finishes 180 innings, ERA below 3, top 5 in Cy Young. And I went through and I was like, he's going to get those innings. He's at a 3.18 ERA. I love that take.
I love it. I think Michael King has been awesome, and he has been one of the saving graces for the San Diego Padres. I think that bullpen has been awesome. I think a couple of guys in that lineup have been amazing. Jackson Merrill has been a godsend.
You want to know something crazy?
Yeah.
Jackson Merrill is your new favorite for National League Rookie of the Year.
I believe that. What, you and Aram were 2 weeks early on it?
No, we got plus 500.
Yeah, I know you were 2 weeks early on it, right?
2 weeks. Oh, yes. In terms of yes. Yes, 2 weeks early, exactly. Yes.
Good on you guys. Yeah, 2 skiing starts early. Yeah, I mean, I know that a lot of the eyes are on Cease because he's second in the National League in strikeouts. But Michael King has been a freaking dog, man.
Dog. Makes that Soto trade a lot more palatable. All right, let's go to buy or sell number 8. Buy or sell. Bobby Witt Jr. beats Ronald Acuna's 2023 season with 217 hits, which would be the most since 2014 Jose Altuve with 225 hits. So the projection, Fangraphs has him beating it at 218. What do you think, Jack? Bobby Witt, more hits than Acuna last year?
Yeah, dude, he's hitting 352.
I know. The thing is, you and I, we're buying every one of these fun takes. One of them's not going to happen.
I know. I mean,
I'm with you. I'm buying it too.
I've sold the Cy Young. I sold the Ohtani thing. You know what? Because I sold the Ohtani thing, I'm buying the Bobby Witt thing.
Okay.
One of them's going to happen.
Do you think the Royals might limit his innings?
Yes. I think that'll be a serious problem.
The only thing I can think of that's going to stop that man. That's a bad man over there.
He's hitting 352, dude. And he's doing this in meaningful games every night. And the games aren't getting any less meaningful as we get down the home stretch. Like, they are in wild card standing. Like, they are fighting for their lives every night. And this guy has so clearly proven to be a freaking gamer and a half. I think this guy, I'm not going to say shatters, but I do think that he breaks that record.
I want to shut down Bobby Witt Jr. Can't hit on the road. He can't hit on the road. That's why he's not very good.
Numbers don't look awesome. He's going to hit 400 at home, ain't he?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, he has home road splits because he's slashing 405, 456, 726 at home for an 1182 OPS. Of course, he's going to struggle a little bit more on the road. But is the guy slashing 299, 345, 510 with an 855 OPS not good on the road? And he has more home runs on the road than he does at home. He also has more stolen bases on the road than he does at home. He's been caught stealing only 4 times on the road compared to 8 caught stealing at home. Now, he has 27 doubles at home to only 10 on the road. But this guy's still such a guy with a 299, 345, 510 slash line, 855 OPS at shortstop. He'd be one of the best shortstops in the league, and that's just his road stats. People say that because his home stats are so prolific that he struggles on the road. Spare me. He's got an 855 OPS. The dude's fine. I just hear that all the time. We made that Bobby Witt Jr. video. Half the comments are, yeah, but he can't hit on the road, Peter. Peter, he can't hit on the road. Shut up. Yeah, he can. Obviously, he can. He's hitting 300 on the road. Peter,
Do that voice again.
he can't hit on the road. Idiots.
So, great article on The Athletic from Stephen Nesbitt, Sam Blum, C. Trent Rosecrans. Ted Williams hit 400 at Fenway 4 times in his career.
God.
Yeah, it's Ted Williams, man. Like,
His stats are so crazy. Like,
Ted
everyone's like,
Williams.
oh, the
It's
Barry
nuts.
Bonds stats. Ted Williams stats are nuts. Dude
This
went
guy
to
walked-
war.
He went to war. He walked 2,000 times and punched out like 700 times. He had
You know what's kinda sick?
520 homers, K'd 700 times.
It's unbelievable. I saw kind of one that fired me up. It's like, it almost it seemed like a shit post. You and I love good
I
shit
love
posts
shit
on
posts.
Twitter.
I
But it
love
was like Barry Bonds' career war. It's like 170 or whatever. Babe Ruth 130, and then it just Ted Williams war. It's just a picture of him in World War II outfit, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
It's just that's drill adjacent for baseball. I
It's
love
like Ted
drill.
Williams probably had 100 war too, but nah, real war. I like
But
that.
to that point, Ted Williams hit 400 at Fenway 4 times in his career. Other guys to hit 400 in at least 275 home plate appearances: Joe Cunningham, Rod Carew, Wade Boggs, Kirby Puckett, Andres Galarraga, Eric Young Sr., Larry Walker, Jeff Cirillo, Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds hit 412 at home in 2004. So he would be the first guy since Bonds in 04 to hit 400 at home in a given season.
Bobby Witt has a 9 F4 already. It's
Yeah,
August.
he's amazing. So I'm just like, I'm drunk on Bobby Witt, so I'm just gonna buy anything that you push my way.
I could have said, do you think Bobby Witt Jr. gets the 300 hits this season? I might have
Yes.
bought it. Yes. Yeah, I might have bought it.
I think Bobby Witt throws to a sub-2 ERA this year.
Yeah. Let's move to another shortstop. But this time we're switching divisions over to the National League Central. Buy or sell. Ellie De La Cruz beats Ronald Acuña's steal total of 73 from last year, the most since Jose Reyes stole 78 back in 2007. Right now, he's projected for 72. But remember, stolen base projections are always more conservative. Does he beat Acuña? Yeah, I buy it.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's this guy going to stop running for? He's going to run more.
You know, he's
The
been caught
Reds are
12
falling out
times.
of contention. Like, dude, he's just going to be off and running.
You know, he's been caught 12 times this year. It's a lot.
Yeah, no, and he'll be caught more. I'm not worried about that. We're worried about the success number. I'm not worried about the percentage. I'm worried about him getting to what, 72, 73?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Do you think 80 is within reach, or do you think that's too much?
No, I think he's going to settle in the mid 70s, 73 to 76.
I kind of agree. All right, let's go to one that you're gonna love.
I'm in.
Buy or sell. The White Sox finished with the worst record since the 2003 Tigers, who finished 43-119, capping off one of the worst years in MLB history. The White Sox, according to Fangraphs, are projected to finish 44-118. Do you think they create some history here?
Um,
Look at the roster and tell me. The young pitching is not terrible.
What do you mean by not terrible?
I mean, exactly what I mean. Not terrible.
Garrett Crochet might be throwing 2 innings per start moving forward. He threw 55 pitches.
6 Ks. He was
Yeah,
2
he
innings,
K'd
6
9.
Ks.
He K'd 9 in what, 4 innings and 55 pitches last time out? He's going to make the most of his 3 innings per week. Crochet throws tonight. I'm excited to watch that because that's actually Crochet and Logan Webb.
Mhm.
Kai Bush has been good so far, but like
He has been good.
Jonathan
Cannon's
Cannon's
been
been a
pretty
mixed
good.
bag. Davis Martin has been a mixed bag since coming back.
Davis Martin, not a mixed bag, just a bag full of not good things.
This bullpen sucks.
It's so bad.
Miguel Vargas.
Wait, I have another question. Is Brebbia still on the White Sox?
Rebby is the closer.
Yeah, why the fuck did they not trade him?
I don't know.
Extend him, maybe.
Dude, there are a lot of guys that I'm asking, hey, why didn't you trade this guy?
Yeah. It's true.
I don't know, dude. Yeah, I would lean worst in
Ever.
modern history. That's where I lean. Especially because like you got Drew Thorpe looking so good, and I know he had some blowups, but like he was really starting to settle in and find a little bit of consistency, and then boom, flexor strain. Like, oh, come on, we can't have nice things ever, ever.
Ever. Ever.
So that's where I'm at.
All right, let's we got two more. Who finishes with the better record? The Cubs or the Cardinals? Both of them are projected by Fangraphs to finish 80 and 82. Who do you like more?
The Cubs, the Cardinals vibes are terrible right now. I go strictly based on energy and astrology and what zodiac signs or whatever, but it's just like the temperature is negative in Chicago, but it's not, oh my gosh, this team sucks like it is in St. Louis right now.
Yeah.
I saw Katie's tweet, like St. Louis set a record in a bad way, the lowest attended game in a non-pandemic since what? In the Busch Stadium era, in the new Busch Stadium era.
Don't think that they are a better team, though.
The
I
Cubs?
do. Yeah, I think the Cardinals have a better lineup. I like their bullpen way more, and I think their starting pitching is just as good as them. I like the Cubs' top end talent a little bit more. But once we get to 3, 4, 5, give me the Cardinals. Like, I think they're a better team. I think they will have the better record, but everything you said, I agree with. So, like, I think I agree with Fangraphs. I think the answer to this question, they have it. They finished with the same record.
Oh, that would be so poetic.
I know. Just both
Both
80
of
and
them,
82.
both of them pretty underwhelming at 80 and 82.
And it's like you have to be a game under 500. Like you couldn't have
Yeah.
been 81 and 81.
Really have
Really?
to. Um, yeah, I just think if one of them is going to be a 500 team, it's going to be the Cubs.
Yeah.
Because like that place can pick up a little bit easier. The Cardinals, it feels like 24 is just kind of a lost cause for them, which is crazy because they are within shouting distance of the National League wild card. You know, does it look likely? No, but are they within shouting distance with 5 weeks to go? Yeah. I feel like it's more of a baseline pessimism in St. Louis than it is in Chicago right now.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'll take the Cardinals, but I totally see where you're coming from. All right, here's another one. Who finishes with the better record? The Phillies or the Orioles? Both are projected 93 and 69. I have my answer, and I think it's somewhat easy. And I'm going with the Phillies 100%. Is anybody a little bit worried about the Orioles these days?
Could be.
Not a great series against the Mets. And who's their current rotation right now? Because Eflin, unfortunately, just hit the shelf with a shoulder strain. So it's Burns. Like Irvin just made a spot start. I think you're just putting him right back into the rotation. What is the Orioles' rotation right now? I know their bullpen's good, but even Seranthony Dominguez, right? They put him in the closer role. We're seeing tweets everywhere. Oh my God, Seranthony Dominguez threw 9 innings, and it was, oh my God, it was so good. Now he's the back-to-back bad outings. They don't have a guy who I think can lock down the ninth, and I think they're reluctant to put Cano there because they put Cano in every situation. I think he's personally better as kind of that Swiss Army knife, and so they don't have a ninth inning guy, I don't think.
Which
And
is
the offense
crazy.
is obviously great.
They have Craig Kimbrell on this roster, and we're talking about how they don't have a ninth inning guy.
I don't think they have a ninth inning guy. So they have a barren rotation with no ninth inning guy and a good bullpen, not a great bullpen. Offense, I have no problems with. They're great, but we're splitting hairs here when comparing to the Phillies. When the Phillies have a better bullpen, they have a better starting rotation, a healthier starting rotation that's also going to get back Ranger sooner rather than later. And that offense is fully healthy now. I'm definitely going with the Phillies. I don't even know why the Orioles are projected this high right now.
I'm going with the Phillies. Burns has struggled, and then you've got Albert Suarez, who I know has thrown well this year, but at the end of the day, like it feels volatile. Cade Povich checks back into this rotation. Trevor Rogers, Dean Kramer, Cole Irvin. Those are not comfortable for me. None of it's comfortable.
The only reason we're even giving them any sort of praise is because they have an Orioles jersey on. Like that could be a rotation for a team that's 10 games under 500, and you'd be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Like, oh, Albert Suarez is good.
Yeah. Like, oh, that's
that
funny.
just comes from looking at Fangraphs.
But all of us know Albert Suarez is good because all of us are watching Orioles games because they're awesome.
Exactly. So,
but if Albert Suarez was on like the freaking Angels, nobody would even know that he's doing anything.
No.
So, yeah, I'm going with the Phillies for sure. I am worried about the Orioles. Like, we have to have larger conversations about them moving forward, depending on how these injuries stack up.
Give me a week. Yeah, give me a week.
Exactly. That's why I'm not raising anything right now. But this is Like, not even today's Wednesday, recording for Thursday's show. Like, this is after next week, like beginning of September. Let's start looking at where they're at, because it's a little nerve-wracking there.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And that'll do it for buy or sell Fangraphs projections. Let us know in the comment section below if you think we were too high, too low on something. And if you could, rate and review. It's the best way to support this show. 5 stars, whether it be on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, and leaving a written review is such a good way to support without spending a dime. And if you're interested in spending a dime with us, greatly appreciate it. And the best way to do so is get yourself some Just Baseball merch. I'm rocking my hat. Jack's rocking nothing because he doesn't like the company. Don't be like Jack. Go get your Just Baseball merch in the episode description. For Jack and Mullen, I'm Peter Apple. Of course, we're going to be back tomorrow. And with that, thank you, everybody.